Summer is over, fall is officially here. PSL's for everyone, right? From the Gatehouse Media Studios, I'm Dave Morris. Scientists, though, are telling us that August was the second hottest August ever, and they predict more record-breaking heat ahead. It's a story our Dinah Voyles Pulver is working on. She joins us now. Hi, Dinah.
Hi, David.
Well, thank you for your time today. As I mentioned, summer's over. Let's get right into it. How hot was it?
Well, the global temperatures were really the second hottest they'd ever been around the world. When you average, land and sea surface temperatures together, the global average was 1.66 degrees above the long-term average from the previous century, and it tied 2015 and tied 2017. So these last few years have been the hottest on record, really, in history.
So Dinah, this data, let's look at that for a second. Where are you getting the data from?
The data is coming from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's National Center for Environmental Information. They have a network of monitors around the country, and then they network with other weather organizations around the world who have these global monitoring stations.
So you're looking at all sorts of data here, both national, global, land, sea, everything.
Yeah. Yes, and they sort of mesh it all together, make some adjustments in some places where they know that there are big cities, and they adjust for those, the temperatures if there's a place that's surrounded by pavement.
Gotcha. So when we're looking at a bunch of data, we're looking at a bunch of years, that indicates one thing, trends. So what have you seen so far in this data?
Well, the trend is definitely in the U.S. and around the world. The trend is toward hotter temperatures just about everywhere, and it's been that way for the last several decades. And that is expected to continue over the next several decades. And certainly for the rest of this year. The rest of the year, our chances are quite a bit above normal to have above normal heat throughout the remainder of the year for most of the country.
And we should say that you've broken down the data, you looked at the data, every state in the union, and we're talking in some places a noticeable 1 or 2 degrees difference in temperature, including places such as Alaska.
Alaska just this week finally broke they had 114 days in a row of above normal temperatures. According to this climatologist at the University of Fairbanks in Alaska, Brian Brentschneider, he keeps very careful track of the climate in Alaska, and they really had their second warmest summer on record. It was 4.1 degrees above average, and they just continued to have record-breaking days through most of September, and just this week finally broke that record.
I mentioned that you spoke with scientists talking about how this was the second hottest August ever. Did they allude to the effect of seeing these trends?
We didn't talk too much about effects. There are effects, though, that are being seen with these warmer oceans. There is quite a belief that it is impacting, depending on which scientists you talk to. There are definitely scientists who think it's making hurricanes stronger and wetter, because these warm oceans can really have an impact on not just hurricanes, but cyclones around the world.
Yep, that's perfect foreshadowing to this following questions. We mentioned a second ago, you didn't just look at the land conditions, but also conditions in the sea and in the ocean.
Yes, we did, and the ocean is continues to get warmer and warmer. It really I'm looking. Oh, the global ocean temperature was the hottest ever in August. They've been keeping records, for over 100 years, and globally average, the ocean temperatures were the hottest they have ever been.
And for those visual people, you put together a nice little graphic taking a look at all the temperatures, I believe, back from 1880, and you start to see it turn red as we get into the 70s and 80s?
Yes, if you look at the map, really and truly, we have not had a cooler than normal year since 1977.
All right, very good. And not only land and sea, but the climate. You took a look at some of the rainfall as well.
We did, and it has been, this year has been just incredibly wet. There are hundreds of locations around the United States that have already had there's years worth of rainfall just since the beginning or middle of September. The Hawaii is way above normal rainfall.
Across the lower 48 this year, it's been the wettest year on record. The average precipitation is almost 4 inches above the long-term average. And then when you look at the past 12 months, the total precipitation is nearly 8 inches above average.
That tops the previous record set in 1972 to 73 by more than 3 inches.
Wow, noticeable difference there. It's a fascinating story, and you can dive into all the data state by state. It's put together by Dinah Voyles Pulver with Gatehouse Media. I mentioned off the top it's PSL season. I don't know if anybody is still into pumpkin spice lattes. Are you a coffee drinker, Dinah?
I am not a coffee drinker. And I'm not particularly a big fan of pumpkin, but maybe that's because I live in Florida. And in Florida, fall really doesn't arrive for another couple of months. We have a very short, these seasons in Florida, minuscule compared to the rest of the country.
Fair enough. Good stuff. Dinah, we appreciate your time today.
Thank you.